Hi there. So, here today I have Eva Duplan.
Mhm.
Um, Thank you very much for taking the time to come and chat
No
with me.
problem.
And at the moment, you're running a crowdfunding campaign for a tarot deck called the Butterfly Effect Tarot. Is that right?
That's right.
Lovely. And how did you get interested in the tarot in the first place?
I think it started probably when I was gifted my first deck. My mom gave me my first deck.
Uh huh.
So it was just one of those things where it was just a little, kind of a little trinket that she had found that she thought would interest me, mainly because the artwork was all Art Nouveau.
Uh huh.
It wasn't really anything like, oh, it's this mystical thing. It was just a deck of cards kind of a thing.
Uh huh.
Um, so I didn't think much of it at first. It was just a pretty thing she had found.
Uh huh. And how old were you at the time?
It wasn't very long ago. I was maybe 20 something, maybe 23, 24, something like that. It was only a few years ago.
Hmm.
Um, but I didn't really get started like getting into it until probably within about a year or so ago.
Hmm.
I started kind of doing some research on it. I had heard a little bit about it, and I was really interested in this stuff because the illustrations were really cool.
Hmm.
Um, so I looked up, found out about the Rider Waite, and got myself a deck for that, and kind of played around a little bit with them, and um, did more research, got myself another deck to try out, and um, that deck was, not too bad. It was the Tarot of the Elves, and it was really
Uh-huh.
pretty. But it was one of those where it's like, oh, it was fun to use, but I didn't really get it until I bought myself the Golden Tarot of the Tsar,
Hmm.
and that one is it's such a pretty deck with really pretty artwork using Russian Orthodox iconography. And it was just one of those things where I actually, kind of connected to the deck, and I was like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Uh-huh.
Um, and
It's funny the way that we bond with different things, right?
yeah, it is. And, you know, whether or not the tarot is mystical, it
Hmm.
certainly seems to be a good tool for advice
Mm.
and just general things.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's been a fun journey.
Uh-huh. And do you read for yourself quite frequently?
That's generally who I read for mostly. I
Hmm.
sometimes will read for friends. Every once in a while, I'll read for strangers online. Every once in a while, it doesn't happen terribly often.
Hmm.
But mostly I just read for myself, like a
Uh-huh.
daily draw, things like that.
Yeah. And so is the sort of Golden Tarot of the Tsars your sort of favorite deck up until this point?
Yes, up until this point, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what inspired you then to create your own deck?
I had started looking for, you know, other decks to kind of get an idea of what the other illustrations were. I've been following a number of different readers who would post pictures of their decks, and I think I've seen the Shadowscapes Tarot, which
Oh,
is absolutely
beautiful.
gorgeous. I love Stephanie Pumin-Law. She's an amazing artist.
Hmm.
I have seen The Wild Unknown, which is
Hmm.
amazing art as well. Just all these different decks and oracle decks that have such gorgeous art. And for me, butterfly is kind of a personal symbol. And
Hmm.
so I started looking to see, what tarot decks kind of had that symbology to it. And I found the butterfly oracle, and I really, really want it, but just haven't gotten around to buying it. But I didn't really find a tarot deck that necessarily had like
Hmm.
that kind of symbology to it or specific symbology.
Yeah.
And so I started kind of thinking in my head, kind of what a deck I would want would look like.
Uh-huh.
And as a fashion illustrator, in addition to being just an artist, I really started thinking, oh, what sort of things would I want to see?
Uh-huh.
So it kind of progressed from there, doing some sketches. And I drew the Fool first just to kind of have a starting point because, I mean, it's the Fool. You have to start you have to start. And when I drew her up and saw the wings and the way that she was dressed, and I was like, okay, I think I can do this. It was just it was a click moment.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I've been learning more about the cards with each one that I illustrate. So it was kind of, not only was I drawing something that I wanted for myself, I also wanted to use it as a way to learn the cards better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
And sort of despite having had various influences like from the Rider-Waite and so on, you decided to go for a fairly non-illustrated or what they call semi-illustrated pip, so minors that don't have landscapes or people in them. Can you say a little bit about that choice?
The choice was mainly for ease, because 78 illustrations are, it's a lot of illustrations. And I liked the idea of doing the pip because then I could, it was a chance to, use my graphic design sense to, lay out the different elements to make them, playing card-like.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was fun to kind of explore, how to set those up. It took a few different tries to figure out the layouts for the pips.
Mm-hmm.
But it was still a lot of fun to see how they would go.
And what about the sort of colours? What influenced your choices in that?
A lot of them did come from the traditional, like, Rider-Waite stuff. I would look at meanings. I would look at the different elements in each card. Some of them were chosen based on how I interpreted the card. Most of the court cards have all, especially the colors of the garments that the figures are wearing, are very, very heavily influenced by the colors that are worn in the figures in the Rider-Waite.
Mm-hmm.
The Major Arcana, I took kind of the traditional elements and kind of, the symbols that I kind of picture in my own head. Like strength, like my strength card, it's there's a lion in the traditional one, and so I kind of took that, courageous lioness type idea, and I gave her a really big mane of hair. I gave her kind of a Wonder Woman pose because, strength. And so it kind of evolved from there. What poses would a person feeling this thing have? What colors would they wear? And so as I was going through the Major Arcana, a lot of it started with, what butterfly would I use? So I would look for mainly the colors that I would want. So those were definitely influenced by the Rider-Waite, and then kind of just progressed from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to ask about that because I wasn't sure if there's kind of specific symbolism that anyone has attributed to the different butterflies, like, the monarch butterfly or, different kinds of butterflies. But that kind of felt, I mean, in any case, that would be, one person's associations wouldn't necessarily match how you feel about them.
Right. But the choice of the butterflies kind of was the colors based on the traditional cards, as well as, like the Starry Night Cracker Butterfly was what I chose for the star. And maybe the colors aren't necessarily the same as the traditional one, but the fact that the butterfly was called the Starry Night was like, well, that's got to be the star, kind of a thing. So
makes sense to me. Yeah. Lovely. And how are you finding the process of self-publishing?
So far it's been a little daunting. I've never really self-published anything before, but I've been looking at a few different printers, and I think I found one that I definitely will go with. And they seem to have a lot of really good, fun options, which are where the stretch goals come from. So yeah, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. I really wanted this Kickstarter really to be able to provide the chance to have the decks in my hand to be able to distribute to, others. I could put the deck on, an online shop, where people can buy them and it's kind of a print on demand type thing.
Like Game
Um,
Crafter.
yeah, yeah. And the company that I'm going to be using for the printing does that as well. It has that service where you can upload the design and people can buy the deck from their store or from kind of their version of the
Portal.
online store.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure what the price points are for that. But I know what price I would sell, based on if I was buying them and directly to me and distributing them for myself.
Yeah. So, how are things going with the Kickstarter campaign so far? Like, what has that experience been like? Because a lot of people, think about self-publishing and get put off by the whole idea of crowdfunding and all the things that you have to do and all that sort of stuff.
So the Kickstarter, so far it's been a little slow, but I think most of that is attested to the holiday season. We do have about 28 backers, I think now, somewhere between 25 and 28, or maybe 23. I haven't looked at it recently, but it's been. I think the most difficult part has been just promoting it, because it's just me. I have to push it on my Facebook and my social media and Tumblr and all of these different and trying to find other places and sending it to other tarot readers and bloggers like yourself, to kind of get the word out and promote it. And so from that has been definitely the most difficult process. Setting it up, had its own challenges, making sure that the words were all right and the pictures were all right. And, I'm still in the phase of kind of finalizing all the formatting of the cards themselves. So what is on the campaign information is not necessarily, the illustrations that are featured on there are not necessarily final per se. So it's been just a lot of, making sure you're organized, making sure you have everything, well on hand, and just promote. And I have difficulty doing that just as an illustrator. So it's been a big learning process on how to do that.
Yeah. And so it sounds like you're still kind of working on the cards even while you're also working on these other bits. So kind of juggling lots of different aspects. Is that right?
A little bit. I usually take a full day, maybe a couple days to finish a card. Usually it's about a day. And I think at this point I only have one card officially left to do. And then I just need to make sure all the formatting for all the cards is well and is good to go. I think I've pretty much got it down. But I only have one card left, and then the initial 78 will be complete. So I'm really, really excited about getting that finished. It'll be one less thing for me to worry about, and more I can start focusing on promoting and getting everyone interested in the deck.
Yeah. Because I was wondering, are you having to sort of fit it around other regular work? Like, I don't know whether you have commissions or just,
Right now, because it's the holiday season, regular work and commissions or whatnot are on the downswing. So I have a little bit of more free time to be able to finish everything.
That's nice in its own way as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, are you kind of still so much in it that you can't really think further ahead, or have you already got ideas about what project you want to move on to next?
Right now I'm pretty much in the butterfly effect zone. I definitely would like to start on maybe other projects. I know there are a few jewelry designers here that I've been interested in maybe working with as far as like illustrations go. But right now the main project has definitely been the butterfly effect. So I'm super excited about having that finished and actually getting the cards in hand and to see them.
And I mean, did you also use the cards when you were kind of going through this process to kind of help you figure out perhaps like which way to go with things? And
I did do a couple of readings beforehand. When I was first starting to think about doing the Kickstarter, kind of, drew a couple cards to to see, is this a good idea kind of a thing.
Mhm.
And they seem pretty positive about it. So I was like, okay, then I guess we're doing it.
It's nice when they've got your back, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's always nice when they got my back.
Yeah, lovely. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us then, Eva?
No, I don't think so. I'm just really, really excited about, this Kickstarter. I'm really, really excited about the deck.
Mhm. And it sounds like
Yeah.
you're on all the social media. So are you normally on there as Eva Duplan, or do you have a different kind of
Oh,
moniker?
my moniker is Eva Duplan Art.
Uh-huh.
You can find that on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, Blogspot, different things like that. So if you just search at Eva Duplan Art, you'll pretty much find me almost anywhere. And my website is evaduplanart.com.
Keeping it nice and simple.
Nice
Lovely.
and simple.
Okay, well, I wish you the best of luck then with this deck, and I really hope that it moves forward and that you really enjoy the process as well.
Thank you.
And thanks ever so much for taking the time to chat with me today. It's been a real
Oh, no
pleasure.
problem.